Welcome to the Postmate webinar, 2021 Rate Change. My name is Karen Grant, and I'll be your instructor today. So it is finally almost 2021. We are on December 30th today, 2 days to go, and I know everybody is anxious for 2021. Now, let's face it, I'm a realist. It's just a number change. In 2 days, it's really no different than it is today. But the idea of having a new year with all the bad stuff behind us, let's just hope that that's true and that we move forward. But not everything was bad in 2020, and we'll talk about that. So first of all, we have an update, as you know, and hopefully you've already done that update. It comes in your to your Postmate automatically, or actually it comes to your computers automatically. We download it to your computers, but you choose when to install it. I want to tell you, you need to install it when your store is closed, either well before you open or after you close. It generally doesn't take long, but it can. I'll tell you what really holds it up and causes a pickle is your antivirus software. Norton, McAfee, Kaspersky, whatever it is you choose to use, you need to learn how to turn it off for a short period of time while you run updates. I would say easily 8 out of 10 hiccups with an update are your antivirus. It's just the most common thing. Turn that off. See what happens is your antivirus says, ooh, that's something new, shut it down. It's doing its job. And you can have whatever antivirus you want, but you need to make sure you know how to manage that. So make sure that you turn that off for the 15 minutes. And if you do, and you update Postmate, when I updated Postmate, I have a lot of data in my Postmate. Use a data from a store I had for many, many, many years. And I think it updated in, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe less. So not very long. So you're always going to do your master workstation first and then each auxiliary station after that. So make sure that you do that. Now, when you do the update, there's a way to really mess up your update, especially at rate time. When you do the update, when it gets close to that time when the rates are effective, like UPS just did, you'll have this pop up. And this is called the quick rate setting utility. And it's going to pop up. And see that little X up in the corner or the cancel button in the lower right? That's how you really, really mess up your update. So do not close out of that. We want you to correctly do your update. Follow the wizard. If you leave please do not, for you that are owners, please do not leave this to an employee. There are financial decisions to be made and your employee most likely doesn't have the financial knowledge to make those decisions on your behalf. Even if they do, you should be looking over their shoulder. This is the one time a year, and I say that there's a caveat there. This is the one time of the year you need to be involved in the update. The other time of the year you need to be is when the carriers do a rate update in the middle of the year, which is not all that common, but it's not terribly uncommon either. So it happens it happens about every other year. Lately, it's been happening more often, but usually rate changes once a year. You need to be involved. So please follow the prompts. Now, if you X out of it or your employee X'd out of it, you can bring it back up. It is available under rate setting. We can assist you with that. So it's not too late if you already X'd out. If your employee says, I don't know if I X'd it out, they X'd it out and they don't want to tell you. So make sure you go through it. And there's no bad things that can happen if you go through it a second time. So make sure to go through that. This is on, when you get the update guide, this is the beginning of it. The update guides always look boring, and I'm sorry, but it's because the first page of the update guide is almost always the same. It's how to do an update. Well, most of you already know how to do an update, so you ignore the update guide. Don't ignore the update guide. The first page is the same, but after that, it all gets different and tells you about the specific things to this update. So please read through that, at least glance through that, and have it handy. We're going to be talking about going through the rate setting utility. If you're an Annex brand store, you will have a special option where you can choose Annex brands rates. If you are an Annex brands, I encourage you to use those rates. They're pretty darn good. So what's new? There's rate change, there's surcharge change, add-on changes, rules changes, billing changes, and then there's coming changes. Oh my gosh, let's talk about all of that. I have a question here, and I'm going to grab it now, and then I'm going to probably repeat it. Is USPS part of this change? No. USPS will have its own update later in January. I want to say it's the 24th of January is the effective date. Consequently, we will have that update ready a few days before then. Not everybody is open on the weekend, so we always make sure to have it ready a few days beforehand, but not too far because we don't want you updating way far ahead and charging the wrong rates. So as you probably have read in the news, the rates increased an average of 4.9% for FedEx, DHL, and UPS. So that means a package that used to cost you $10 will now cost you about $10.49. If you have a 50% margin, you probably used to charge $20 for that, and now you're going to charge $10.98. Pretty good. I did that math in my head. But folks, that's just the base rate. There's other things, as you know. So there's those UPS surcharges and add-ons. There's 3 pages of them here in very tight print. You can see that they increased every darn one of them. Oh my gosh, FedEx, same thing. Every darn one of them. DHL too. So surcharges and add-ons actually increased an average of about 7%. They averaged, I kind of looked at them from 5 up to about 9 or 10%, but most of them are very close to that 6.97% right in there. So I would say on average, they're about a 7% increase. So that same $10 package that's now $10.49, if it has a $4 surcharge, it used to be $14 and now it's $14.77. So it's definitely, you can see that the price is suddenly increasing a lot more than 4.9%. And then, of course, other than the base price and the surcharges and the add-ons, we have declared value coverage. If you use carrier insurance, it has increased by about 10%. That's quite a bit. 10% is a lot. So now that package, as you can see, can increase even more. I do not know if the alternate insurance companies have raised their rates. If they have not yet, they probably will. I mean, it's a typical thing to do every year. We have to do it every year. But when it does, if you have not yet ever used alternate insurance, I encourage you to look at it very carefully and see if it's right for you. You can save a lot of money selling declared value insurance or insurance by an alternate company. It's much cheaper than the carrier insurance. However, you must follow the rules of that company to the T, or they will deny your claim, and there's no getting around it. FedEx and UPS do their own self-coverage with declared value coverage. So if something breaks or gets lost, well, gets lost is easy. Everybody covers that, but breaks. FedEx and UPS, you can talk to your rep and wheedle and usually kind of get your way if it was kind of a borderline case. But with alternate insurance, it's black and white. Either you followed the rules or you didn't follow the rules. They'll either cover it or they won't cover it. So there is no gray area with them. So you have to make sure that you're a rules follower and that you're the type of store that will read and follow those rules. Speaking of rules, what are the new rules this year? Well, strangely enough, there's really only one new rule that's going to affect us. And there's some freight rules, and I'm not going to go into freight because many of us don't do freight, but and that's for, those were FedEx freight rules, I think, probably UPS too, but the one that's going to affect us is the change to additional handling. So this change is additional handling will now apply when the length plus girth is greater than 105 inches. Now, you old timers like me, you know how to do length and girth. And in fact, if you're really old like me, you remember the old bell chain that UPS used to hand out. But for those of you who are newer and don't understand length and girth, girth is around the package. It's where the word girdle comes from, around your waist or around your hips. So it's around the hips of the package. And then you add to it the height or the length of the package. It's the long way. So around the small way and add the long way. And that's length plus girth. Now, happily, Postmate will catch this for you. As long as you enter the dimensions correctly, Postmate will know when it's 105 inches and it will apply the additional handling surcharge. Please don't go running and checking it right now. This is effective January 10th for UPS, January 18th for FedEx Ground, and it's waived for FedEx Express if you're an FASC location. These are not in your current update. They will be sent to you via an e-update. E-updates are the silent little updates that creep into your computer in the middle of the night. When you turn on your computer in the morning, they apply. Or when you open Postmate Fresh in the morning, they will apply. By the way, I will give you just a heads up. I think almost all of you, if not all of you, do it. But please make sure you open Postmate Fresh every single morning. I prefer that you close Postmate completely and do a backup every single night and open Fresh in the morning. Or if you want to open it right after you do the backup and leave it on, that's okay too, unless you have a power blip in the middle of the night. That's not good. But I really want you to open Postmate Fresh every morning. When you close Postmate and then reopen it and you do a backup and reopen it, it helps to compress data and it makes your Postmate run a little bit quicker. When you reboot your computer, it helps all the data in your computer compress and makes your computer run a little bit better. So those are just good, healthy things to do. So I'm going to go and speak to a couple of questions. Let's see, and we're not finished, but if you have any questions that you want to pop in, tell us where we can find our current tier levels for the carrier. So with UPS, if you are a UPS authorized shipping outlet, you are all on the same tier, with the exception of Annex Brands, who has a special Annex Brands tier, but all Annex Brands tiers are on the same tier, and all independent stores are on the same tier. It's just called in Postmate for most of you ASO tier. So that's what you would be set to. For FedEx, there are still tier numbers 1 through 5. I have not heard through the grapevine if they are planning on changing that like UPS does. It wouldn't surprise me if they do, but I've heard nothing in the works. They have not whispered anything to us or asked us to make any changes that I'm aware of. So right now, tiers 1 through 5, and you can find that out. There is a short video on our website, and I think it's what's my FedEx tier, or find my FedEx tier, or enter FedEx tier, and that should help you to find that video. And it's only about, I don't know, 4 minutes long, 5 minutes long. It's pretty short, and it'll walk you through how to find your FedEx tier. Hopefully that will change soon. With the tiers, the higher the tier, the better your discount. So a tier 5 gets a better discount than a tier 1. DHL, still, even though in Postmate there are more tiers, they are effectively only using currently tier number 2 and tier number 3. So if you are a frequent shipper with DHL, you're probably a tier 3, and if you ship infrequently, you're a tier 2. Oh, that's a good one, Jimmy. I'll have to get into Postmate to do that. Do you still need to ship a certain number of UPS as an ASO to receive money for the prepaid drop-offs? I believe that you do. I cannot confirm that. I have not seen the documentation, but I have heard nothing to the contrary, so I believe that you do. Charlie, no, because it doesn't know if it's in an envelope or a box. So without getting into that. Can I do an actual girth as an example? Sure. Let's think of a box. Okay, so let's think of a golf club. Okay, you're going to put a golf club, a big golf club. It's a wood, you know, with the big monster ends on it. Okay, so you're going to put it in a 6 by 6 by 48 inch box. Okay, so we're going to do girth is going to be around the small way. So you're going to go 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. 6 plus 6 plus 6, 4 times, right? That's going to be the girth. So that would be 24 inches. You're going to add to that the longest length, so 24 plus 48. And when you add that together, that's the length plus girth. Does that help? Hopefully it does. Will Postmate actually give the girth? No, Postmate will just add the girth and length. It always knows that the biggest number is the length. Okay, because that's a fact of shipping. The biggest number is always the length. So it will figure out the girth and length for you. You don't have to do that, but I always want you to know how it works so that you can understand what's happening in the background. Okay, let's go ahead and, wait a minute. Yeah, Manna, I have no idea. If you are just an access point, then I don't think there are any restrictions. I mean, obviously you're not shipping, so UPS. So I don't know any details of your contract with UPS. I don't think anything has changed there. All right, moving forward. Oh, one more new thing. As you know, if you have a UPS account, they're pretty good. They've always been really good about getting their money the week following the bill. They've been doing that for, oh my gosh, I've been in this industry 34 years. I want to say they've been doing it for 28 or 29 of those 34 years. They just attach to your account, and the week after your bill, they just suck the money out of your account, like it or not. FedEx has always been really good about billing you and letting you pay more on your schedule. Now, you contractually have an agreement to pay them within a certain number of days. And I don't remember what those days are. You'd have to look at your agreement. It might be within 7 days of billing, might be within 14 days of billing, but it's a short period of time. I don't think it's more than 14 days. However, whatever that contract is, they now have instituted a new rule that says there will be a $6% late fee if you don't pay your bill on time. I have no idea. I have not heard anything about this being waived for FASC stores. I don't believe it will be waived for FASC stores, but I don't know that for sure. I just know that this is a new rule this year. So I am assuming it will affect all of us. And this is to, of course, encourage you to pay your FedEx bill more timely. I know historically, stores would pay their FedEx bill 4 or 5 weeks late, and that makes FedEx a little nervous, especially with holiday season. So make sure you get those bills caught up as quickly as you can, because your revenues each week are going to be going down, and you're still receiving those December bills, which were quite big. So make sure that you spend your money on that before you get any new things in your store. But that is something new that they're going to impose. I don't know how strict they're going to be. I don't know if they're going to apply to us, but you need to know that you need to make sure that these bills are paid. They will cut you off if you don't pay timely. And we see that more around this time of year. They get a little frustrated when you have a big bill that's not paid timely. And let me tell you about what happens when you get cut off for not paying. FedEx just turns a button and it turns off your account completely, and you can't use it at all. So then you call FedEx and say, I can't ship, I need to speak with billing. And billing says, okay, you need to pay this. And you say, okay, well, here's my account number, here's my debit card, and you pay it. And they'll tell you, okay, you're good to go. We've turned your account back on. However, they don't refresh their servers that we use until that night. So Postmate, you won't be able to ship in Postmate till the following day. So you'll be a whole day without FedEx in Postmate. And there's nothing we can do about that. They do turn your account back on immediately. And if you went to fedex.com, you could use it with your account. But the servers, which are called API servers that we use, don't refresh until midnight or middle of the night at night, so it won't work in Postmate till the following day. So I don't want you to get caught. We had a couple of stores this week that had that happen to them. Their account got shut off, and they got very frustrated because they took care of their bill and still couldn't ship until the next day. So don't let that happen to you. And then finally, oh my gosh, the rates are going up. Of course they're going up. Now, many of you I can see names that I recognize from years and years and years of seeing you around. And I see names that are really new to the industry. And it's not the end of the world when rates go up. In fact, I love it when rates go up. So when rates go up, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Well, we won't age me too much. Priority mail came around in 1987, and I was a store owner then. And it was, you might remember their jingle. It was something like, and I might get it a little backwards, but 2 pounds, 2 days, $2.40. $2.40 for up to 2 pounds for 2 days is what they advertised. We all know it could take longer than 2 days, but it was really hard to beat $2.40 with anything. I mean, and there were no postal discounts anywhere at that time. So I paid $2.40 and the customer paid $2.40. Of course, I marked it up and they actually paid $4, but that was a hard sell. So times have changed and prices have gone up. So When prices go up, your profits go up. Let me just give you an example. If you have a 50% margin, and it doesn't have to be 50, it can be 55, 60, 48, whatever it is. Would you rather make that margin on $10 or $12? Well, duh. You'd rather make it on $12. 50% of $12 means you make $6 profit. 50% of $10 means you only make $5 a profit. When your costs go up and your margins stay the same, your profits go up. And that's how we increase in this business. Many years ago, again, in a store, you might have had a store that only made 200,000 in business every year, but your costs were half as much. Now you have to make 400,000, but you make more money now. All right, so I'm going to share something very embarrassing. I went back into my Amazon and looked at my orders. Now, I will tell you that I work for a technology company. I'm a bit of a nerd. I like technology, and I'm kind of a techno person. So I've been an Amazon customer since 2006. These are my real numbers of how many orders I've had each year. And I want you to look, you can see that they, for the most part, increased each year. Now, I will confess a few of these are business orders, but for the most part, they're personal orders. I'm a weird girl. I don't like to go shopping into stores very much, which this year worked out really well for me. I like to do my things online. But I'm going to share with you, I want you to look at 2019. I had 234 Amazon orders. And as you know, that's more than every other day I had an order. This year, 323 Amazon orders. That's a 30% increase over 2019. 30% more packages. I'm telling you this because something has changed. There's one of my favorite movies of all time taught this principle. There's a space-time continuum where you go along the road and everything stays the same. I mean, it grows, it changes, but but then some weird thing comes along called COVID, and it changed and gave us an alternate reality. And we are now living in an alternate reality, something very different from where we did. It has changed human behavior greatly in how we function. We are now going to be shopping different. We're going to be much more package focused. How many of you remember this and had one of these in your home? I certainly did. And yes, it was a dial. I was so excited when they came out with push buttons. That was so modern. But you don't see these anymore. In fact, these are worth money now if you can find one. So how many of you in business started and your only way of processing a credit card is with one of these, not as a backup, but as your main way to do credit cards, right? Those are gone now. And that's because we are changing as a society. But COVID speeded things up towards technology. Look at the stock market. Tech products are through the roof. So that's something that's totally changed, and I'm so excited for our industry like I have not been in years. We have a funny little joke a lot of us say in this industry is, let's face it, it's hard to make it in this industry. It's an inexpensive business to get into, but it's an expensive business to build up to a break-even point and a profit point. So I can open a store for $50,000, but it might take me a year and a half before I'm making a good profit. If you open a store and you're making a profit within 6 months, you're doing a lot of things right, and that's brilliant. That's kind of a best case scenario. I mean, I've done that, but it's not easy. You have to know what you're doing or be very, very lucky, one or the other, in that. So this year, however, I think is different. You are now in the driver's seat. And I want to share with you, this is my statistic, but this is from my experience. 80% of your December customers will become your regular customers. And I think a lot of you had a significant increase in December. So I want to share with you, I want to take a couple of polls real quickly. And so, because I think you want to know these things too. So I want you to think about your financial numbers. And I'm going to launch this poll. So financially, for your store, was 2020, and then I'd like you to vote. I cannot see who is voting what, so we won't be able to tell who was better, who was worse. We're just going to get overall numbers, which I think you're all really, really going to be interested in. And we're going to close this poll. Please vote because it really helps. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, closing the poll. I'll share this now. These are really great numbers. So you can see that between blue 19 and better than, we had 81% of the industry did much better than. For those of you who did worse than, my guess is that your store is not in a residential upscale, or grocery area type location. Stores that didn't do as well were often located in industrial, semi-industrial, or business park areas. And nobody's going to work. Everybody's working from home. So they don't have the traffic anymore. So those stores that are in and near grocery stores, which people still have to use, those are the ones that seem to be doing much better. I have one more poll, very similar. Let's talk about just December 2020. Yes, this month. My December 2020 was, please vote. I love squirrels. Was the movie, one of the movies, squirrel? That's me. Okay, we're going to close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll share this. So again, very similar, in fact, a little bit better results. 86% were better than last year. That's wonderful. See, that's a wonderful trend. I will say that I've had reports of 4 or 5 long-time owners that have sold their stores recently. If you're a long-time owner, you're looking to sell your store, now's a good time to get top dollar. If you're into this store for a little while and you want to make a lot of money, it's a great time to stay in your store. We've seen our industry increase and decrease over the years. I think we're in for a very good next few years. I can't predict beyond that, but I can tell you that I expect your returns or drop-offs over the next week and 2 weeks to be obnoxious. I think that you're going to get overrun with drop-offs simply for the fact that everybody ordered their presents online. And while you may not have seen those packages come through your store then, if 1 out of every 20 packages is returned, that's a lot of packages. So I do think that you will see that. And I won't share names, but if you want to share any statistics with me, I will report those without telling your name, so I don't give that away. And one person says we are 120% over our projections for December. Another store owner said, had a customer yesterday who had 25 returns all by herself, just one person. Another store said they had 1,007 packages on Monday. Was that returns or was that send outs? I'd love to know. Another store says last time we were this busy and profitable was 2011. Another store says they're 127% over last year. Another one 125%. One says my December was 150% of last year's December. Both, that's great. And so 133% of 2 stores, we exceeded $125,000 in volume, which was a record for them, I'm assuming. And I know that I had a report earlier in the month on Black Monday, and that was your busy Monday. One store did $14,000 in business on that one day. Now, I can tell you, I was a store owner for 25 years, and I never had a $14,000 day. I was good, but I was not that good. I can't even imagine a $14,000 day. So, um, okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I'm not 8,000% markup. Um, I want to thank you for sharing that. We're going to continue. We only have a few more slides to get through, but I do have some good stuff coming up. So I'll get to a couple of questions that I'm seeing on here in addition to the comments. So the last things I want to talk to you about are act as if every customer is going to leave a review, because now people are not only shopping online, but they're even more than they were before going to be checking reviews online. Your Google reviews, stupid old Yelp, which I don't like reviews, all these things matter. And there's only three people that are ever going to write a review. One is your best friend or your mom, right? Two is somebody you made really happy. And of course, that person you made really upset. Those are the people that are likely to leave a review. And the most likely of that is the upset person. So make sure that every customer is treated like they're going to walk out of your store and leave a review. Now, I will share something with you that I did in my store, and I can tell you absolutely this will help you to dodge those bad reviews. Put up a sign in your store, make it very, very obvious, and saying this: for compliments or concerns, please reach out to management. And you can even put your name. Now, if you don't want people calling your cell phone, I don't blame you. Get a burner phone. Go to Walmart, get a $20 phone, flip phone, pay the fee, and just have that. It's worth the investment to have that and have it in your office and leave a really nice, leave a voicemail. I'm sorry, I understand you have compliments or concerns for us. Please leave your name. If you'd like to leave your number, we'll call you back and tell us what your concern or compliment was, and we will address it. Be very nice, gracious, soft in your presentation with them. Make sure that when they leave a bad review, folks, all they want to do is vent. That's what they're trying to do, is vent. And if review is the only way they can vent, then that's what they'll do. But if you give them an alternate way to vent, then they may not leave that bad review. Okay. Oh, for those that didn't know earlier, a postal update is coming later in January. We will have a webinar to discuss that. And then finally, this is me. I even wore the proper earrings today, as you can see. This is me doing my crystal ball and what's in future. I think that we have a very, very good 2021 in our industry. We are an essential business. We are part of the supply chain in this country. Drop-offs, while it would be lovely if there was more automation, the problem with drop-offs is that there are a million different companies, not a million, but there's a lot of different companies out there that process drop-offs, take returns and what have you, and they have not all connected on the back end, and it's hard to develop a technology for that. It's not something we're not working towards. We are working towards that, but it's hard when, Bass Pro Shop handles returns one way through this company, and Franklin Covey does it this way, and Gap does it this way, and it's just hard to handle things in a uniform way. As time goes on, I think there will be more uniformity because online shipping and returns will be so prominent. The question is coming up over and over again here: why can't we scan UPS, Amazon codes, and when are we going to get that? Folks, you're not. That's not. It's not available to you. Amazon doesn't want you. That's what it boils down to. It's an agreement between Amazon and the UPS store. They won't let anybody else in. They have encrypted the code. It's not that Postmate can't read it. It's that it comes up as gobbledygook because it's encrypted. It's locked down. So if you're not a UPS store, you're not going to get that. Now, will they ever allow other stores or other people in the industry to do it? I don't know. They might, because let's face it, here's the one thing I do know. The UPS stores are primarily in high population places. That's because they're expensive to get into and maintain and run, and small communities can't support that. Our stores, my independent stores, tend to be, a lot of you are in smaller communities where that can be supported. And so the nearest UPS store is 20 or 30 miles away. There's nothing we can do about that. Now, yes, you can have your customer often change the dispatch of the return to a label, email the label to you. There's a process for that. I'm not going to explain it all. But there is a way to do that. It's a bit of a hassle. Sometimes your customer's not going to want to do that. They're going to be concerned about what they're doing. You kind of have to learn. I'm going to encourage you all to buy something on Amazon, purposely return it, and experience it for yourself and write down the instructions. Pick a QR code as the return method and then back out of it and do it a different way so that you can experience the process and write it down and have instructions for you and your staff to help your customers. A lot of stores I have seen have handouts showing customers how to do it. They've made on their own, or have posters. I want to say that RS Associates has some instructions that are pre-created. I think I've heard that. Sorry about that, RS, if I misquoted that, but I think they do, or that some of their members have created and made available. So a QR code scanner is typically I think it's a 2D scanner. They are available, but they really are no good for you right now. They don't do anything special for you. There is, you probably have seen or might have seen a Fedex QR code. And that's new to FedEx. And that is something that is in the works with Postmate. It is right now, the technology is hung up on FedEx's side, not on our side. So I don't know if it's going to be something in the next 6 months, the following 6 months, or in 2022. I don't know. I just know that that's something that has been in discussion. We've said yes to. When you're ready, you let us know and we will do it. But I can't tell you if and when it's going to happen in 2021. I hope so. I honestly hope so. Okay. So Gina says she saw a USPS QR code also. And I think, that rings a bell. I don't have anything specific on that, but that rings a bell. The last thing I want to address here is show you some pictures of a store. And this is a store owner. I'm not going to tell you I admire him. I do admire him. But his head will get too big if he sees this and knows that I admire him. He has several stores, and one of his stores burned down this year in 2020. So that was a sad thing. It's a very busy store. So he opened up his store across the street. There was a space across the street he opened in, and these are some pictures from his store. And I want you to compare this with your store. Now, I'm not saying that you have to look like this store. You may have a different style. In fact, his other stores have a different style. What I'm saying is this has a very, very professional look. It's extremely clean. It has nice lines. It's modern. It looks good from the inside and the outside. I do know that he paid some $10,000 to have an automatic door that opens up, one of those big ones, so you could carry a 24 cube through the door with no problem. It's really, really nice. It's a great, great store. He does a great business. He's a great owner. Folks, this is where we need to be. Not necessarily identical to this, but we need to, every time people walk into our stores, we need to look like we're a professional business. Please look around your store. If you have paper signs that are tattered or not in frames, you need to change that. The other thing I will say for those of you, and I meant to take a poll on this too. One of the huge things that helped a lot of stores this year was if they have Photo Zoomer or equivalent in their store. And I'll give Eric Stedham a shout out at Photo Zoomer. That's FOTO Zoomer. That is large format printing where you can print banners on the spot. You can print a big old humongous banner in 5 minutes. And what business has not needed a banner this year to advertise that they're open, or that they have curbside service, or that they have dining in or dining out or takeaway or whatever? Banners have been crazy this year. almost every city in the country has completely waived all their penalties for outdoor banners this year due to COVID. And the need for that. I know my local cities, who are usually typically terribly strict on it, have just said, we're turning a blind eye this year, do what you need to do. Because remember, their tax dollars come from those businesses. They need that money. So those stores that had PhotoZoomer or large format printer have done spectacularly with and that has helped their overall business. So now I'm going to get into questions, and bear in mind we have 700 people that signed up for this webinar. So it's going to take me a minute to get through some of the questions here, see which ones I've talked about and which ones I have not. So, but please go ahead and type in your questions and I'll try to address them. If we need to go into Postmate, we can. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and close this. Let's see if I can do this in one fell swoop here. Boom, boom. I'm going to open Postmate, and we're just going to quickly do, yeah, and it's going to come up, and the quick rate setting is utility is going to pop up. We're going to see that as soon as it opens, and I will go through. Any recommendations on passport photo machines? I don't have any. I don't know. I think PhotoZoomer has something like that, so I'd look into that at this point. Okay. And then will Postmate be able to automatically do the additional fee for the girth measurement? Absolutely. That is all within Postmate. No, Henry. Can you give insight about whether I can have a second station that just scans labels into Postmate? Yeah, you can, absolutely. You can have up to 7 workstations with your Postmate license, as long as they are all for the same store. So if you want to set up an auxiliary station just to handle drop-offs, you certainly can. So it would need probably a receipt printer and a computer, and I don't know. Yeah, a receipt printer and a computer. I don't know what all it would need. Maybe there is no extra fee for that. Up to 7 workstations is included in your current fee. You are responsible for the network in your store that makes your computers talk to each other. Once you have a network, then Postmate can be placed on that network. We do not have any network specialists in our support department. That's not their job. Their job is to help you with Postmate. So if you don't know how to set up a peer-to-peer network, you may need help from a technician. Nothing fancy. It's a basic peer-to-peer network, Windows peer-to-peer network. But once that's set up, then Postmate can be placed on it. So this is the update. We're going to just go quickly through it. Hopefully you all have. Some of you don't have UPS, so you've not seen it yet. It brings the it brings the published rates to your computer, but this is what applies them to your rates. So initially, UPS will be checkmarked. In a few days, this will pop up for FedEx, and it will have FedEx and DHL there. And then later in the month in January, then it will do it again for the post office when we update for that. So we just continue. And if you choose the buttons that are already dark, those are almost always the correct things. Unless you do something weird in your store, those will be the correct selections for you. So you can just follow the yellow brick road. Next, next. And then when we get to surcharge rates, I always encourage you to keep same margins and then scroll down and make sure there's no red. See the red? That means I'm not making a profit. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm losing. Like you can see that I'm charging the same amount, but I'm not making profit. So I'm going to increase that to $125 on that one and $155 on that one. And then scroll down, make sure there's no more. Okay, next. And then keep same margins. And there's nothing red on that one, so that's good. Next, keep same margins. And finish. That's how I would do it. That's how I recommend you do it, unless you have a special plan and do something differently. Now, I encourage you to read each one. You don't have to blindly go through and click it. But what I'm telling you is, for most of you, the way I did it, that's going to be the correct way. You only have to do this on the master workstation. The auxiliary stations get all of their rates and data from that master workstation. Can we set Postmate to display UPS retail rates if we are not an ASO, so we can show a customer who wants to see what UPS would charge? I believe that you can, and in fact, I encourage that to whether you sell UPS or not. Having UPS, if you do not sell UPS, having UPS appear on your screens and have them higher is a great incentive to your customer. They think they're getting a real deal then when you sell them FedEx. Okay, it's a little bit sneaky, but hey, it's business, right? So yes, you can. I believe that you can do that. Okay, Natalie, you're going to have to see it in the recording. I can't, as you know, with Postmate, there's no reverse button. I can't show it again. Um, and Tommy, I think on setting up UPS to show, you're going to have to go into Postmate settings, and you're probably going to have to, I don't know, you might have to have a real UPS account number. I haven't tried to do it in a number of years in carrier setup because you're going to have to come in here for UPS and have this button enabled. You might be able to do it if you just click the button. Try that first. I don't think you necessarily have to register, just clicking that. So let's talk. I do want to talk for a minute about the slowness. A lot of you experienced some slowness during the holidays. And for a lot of you, especially the busy stores, it was particularly painful. So I want to address some things that we're going to do for that, but I want you to also know that it was not all from one thing. So out of all the slowness issues we saw, about 50% was from Postmate. The other 50% was from your network, your internet, or your antivirus firewall. Remember I said in the beginning of this webinar that Postmate sends out commonly in a shipment to up to 15 different servers, and there's actually close to 30 APIs within Postmate. So it sends out, and it'll send data out, it'll send a request out, for example, address validation, checking the address. It sends out for it, it waits, and it receives it back. It sends out for, and it's checking, then it checks with time in transit, and it has to go to UPS and FedEx, and it checks DHL, which on a domestic is not there. If you use it in regional carrier, it checks that. All of those, and it comes back. When you have an antivirus firewall, then it goes through that, then it goes out, then it comes in and goes through that, and then it goes to Postmate. Now, many of you have more than one. You might have Norton and Kaspersky, or Malwarebytes and Spybot, and you might have multiple checks at that. If any of those bog down, especially at the holidays because they're busier, guess what? You bog down too. So it's not all Postmate that's causing slowness. But we're fully aware that we definitely saw some. I will tell you that we gather numbers behind the scenes in Postmate. We're required by the carriers to report numbers to them. Not from particular stores, just aggregate numbers. And on several days, and I pulled the numbers this year and looked at them and created a report. We had days where our volume was 50% higher than the same day last year. So on Black Monday of this year, it was 50% more packages run than that same day last year. We're plenty, we would have been okay if it was 10% more or even 15% more, but we weren't expecting it to be 1.5 times. Let's face it, back in March, we didn't know if any of us would be in business, right? We didn't know how this COVID thing was going to affect us. By October, it was very clear that we were going to be doing very busy, but it was too late to make any huge improvements to our database. Well, we are committed to making those improvements this year because we believe that this year will be an increased year for you, and we believe next December will also be very busy. And we think this is the pattern going forward. It is a long, laborious thing where we're going to go back in and improve the database. It's boring because it's not exciting. There's no wonderful features. It's just a better system. It's about a 6-month project for our development team. So we're committed to that. We've already laid out the framework of that. I just want you to know that We felt your pain. We're sorry about that. We didn't anticipate that you would be that busy. For what it's worth, all the carriers experienced issues. Let's face it, most carriers didn't get all their packages there on time either. It was the year of craziness. So again, I'm sorry for that. And thank you for your kind words, folks. So let's go. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah, for bringing that up. I had a new customer this year who put on their time and transit screens, and I'm just going to go really quickly to that because I'm a real nut where this is concerned. I'm just going to get all the way there, and I'll put in a zip code, and I'll put in a weight, and I'll get a rate. When you go to post office, I'm really a nut about making sure that you have good time and transits written in here. And this is up to you to put in, and you can put whatever words you want in. Please, please, and I'll reinforce to our development or our support team not to encourage this. I know the post office says 2 to 3 days or 1 to 3 days for priority mail. Please don't put 1 to 3 days. I had a newish customer store owner, beg your pardon, had a customer send something from, I think, California to Pittsburgh or something like that, and it took 4 days priority mail. And the customer was angry at the store because the store said 2 to 3 days, and they wanted their money back. And the store owner, being new, kind of felt like the pressure was on him to give money back. Now, we who are experienced in the industry say, there's no money back for post office. That's not a guaranteed service. But he was new enough that he didn't know to do that. Please, please, because you have an Indicia account, you can go into your Indicia account and look at your reports at indicia.com, and you'll find a report that shows you, it tracks every one of your packages, and it shows you the time frame that they were delivered in. And you will certainly see many that were delivered in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, lots of them in 2 and 3 days. You will also find some packages that were delivered 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 or 9 days. Take whatever the longest day is and put that in here, and then make sure you put in not guaranteed. Make sure you say those words to your customer. 2 to 9 days, not guaranteed. You don't want your customer thinking that post office is guaranteed, and you can't predict this. I don't anticipate it being quite as bad as it was, but it could be. I don't think that, that these days are completely over. So make sure that you do that. Toby says that Indicia report went away when stamps.com bought Indicia. Oh, that's not fair. I want that report back. Okay, well, I'm sorry for telling you that it was there because I honestly hadn't seen that, and I hadn't known that. But you can take my word for it that my report, my longest one was 9 days when I pulled it 1 day, and that's why I have 2 to 9 days. But now I guess you're just going to have to make up a number. So make up the number of days that you're comfortable with. Manna, I need more details on that. How do we do address verification? That's automatically in Postmate. So I don't know what your question is, but when you enter an address, it will verify with the primary source for that is Indicia, and it will verify that the address is correct according to the post office. If you get an error for that, Manna, make sure that first of all, make sure that you're on 11.11, and then you need to select your method. So, Manna, do you have Indicia? Do you use post office? Yes, okay. So then that choice is going to be Tools, Postmate Settings, Shipping Settings, Other, right down here, Address Validation Provider, and you're going to want to select Indicia here. Okay, you're welcome. Mary Lou, that's great information. Mary Lou was told yesterday that the St. Louis USPS Distribution Center has 200 semi-trucks waiting to be sorted as of Christmas. And for those of you in weather-challenged areas, you in particular, I think were hit hard. How do you add times for delivery? Okay, I'm not going to try to say your name. Yes, I am too. Atanasio. Tell me how I did, Atanasio. It's long instructions, but I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to recommend you write down in shorthand. So from Postmate on your master workstation, you're going to go to Edit, Shipping Carrier. Scroll down until you find USPS, or United States Postal Service. Edit. Then find the carrier that, or the service that you want to change, in this case, Priority Mail. Click on Edit. And then the last tab says Display, and that's where you can type it in. This only is available for post office. Is anyone else having trouble with selecting first class package dash retail on the rate comparison screen and getting a regular first class package label instead? Ben, I think that they don't put the dash retail all the time. That is a possibility. I don't know. All right. Okay, Jimmy, I will do that. So Jimmy wants to know how to adjust the rates to a lower percentage for just the lighter weight packages. So that's done. Tools, Postmate settings, set shipping rates. Then we go over here to the advanced, to the weight-based area. So let's say I have all my rates set at, I don't know, let's say, in fact, let's look and see what I have them set at here. 55%. So I've got them all set at 55% margin retail over wholesale. And I want to change the first, let's say 5 pounds to 50% so that the lightweight things aren't quite as high. So I'm going to change this back up to retail rates because that's what I'm going to change. I'm going to grab 1 through 5 pounds, all zones. And I will tell you right now, to grab and select all these is like you do in an Excel document, but Postmate is super duper duper sensitive, and you will make a mistake 14 times before you get it right, and you'll have to cancel and try to grab again and cancel and try to grab. I'm sorry, I don't know why it's so sensitive. I can do it perfect every time because I've done it 10 billion times, but it will take you a few times before you get it. Don't get frustrated. Once you get here, then you just go to Formula, and you're going to change, oh, we're going to leave it at 50. Let's say 49. I'm going to go to 49, hit OK, hit save, and it's done. If you want to check it, go up to the first percentage sign, profit percent retail over wholesale, and there it is. The pennies made it round down to 48.98, but that's 49, and the rest are 55. All right. Is anyone else's certified mail, other first class mail, actual postage amount showing instead of hiding, even when the hide option is selected? Yes, that is a new requirement. Well, it's actually an old requirement, but Indicia is enforcing that requirement. There's no way to get around that. When you have certified mail selected, the price will now show, and there's no way around it. Jess says, can you address the Postmate sale? What do you see happening in the short term, long term from the sale? So let me just share with you that I was involved a little bit in the process of our company being sold, and we had multiple offers, and I mean obnoxious number of offers, companies that wanted to buy us. Some companies you're familiar with, many companies you're not familiar with. And Rick Crawford, our CEO, chose specifically not just for what they were offering, but for what they were offering our company as what it could offer the future of our company. And we ended up selling to Visible Supply Chain Management for the main reason is that they were not interested in just making us out to be a dollar machine to help their bottom line. That's not why they bought us. They bought us because they want to get involved in software as a subscription, felt that we were a good model for them to use and to learn from so that they could use develop other systems in warehouse areas and model it like ours. So they bought us to learn from. What do I see for the future with us? Well, the company that bought us, Visible Supply Chain Management, is the second largest USPS shipper outside of Amazon in the country. And having that number of packages, they're a warehouse fulfillment company primarily. They do a few other things, but I would say 90% of their business is that. So if you order something from a company and they're all over the United States, chances are it very well could be fulfilled by this and put in a box and sent by this company. That also means they have a large number of returns to deal with, or they can be a part of the returns process. So in the beginning of this webinar, I mentioned about how returns in the country needs to become somewhat uniform. And so that will be part of that. So I see the potential of being a part of that. I also see the potential of possibly bigger buying power. When you're the second largest USPS shipper or shipper outside of Amazon in the country, you have a little bit of clout, potentially with USPS or others. So we might see something in the future with that, something that can improve our status. Otherwise, I can tell you that they're throwing money at us, which is a good thing. They want us to enlarge our giving us more resources. They're wanting us to be able to enlarge what we do, grow, and they see the growth in this industry. They have been interested in our company for a very long time. They had even sent one of their higher ups to the RS event last year to kind of scope things out and see what was up. And he, unbeknownst to us, talked to some of our customers and what have you. So it's been, and I say last year, that was 2019. So it's been really interesting. I see nothing bad and everything good from this purchase, and I'm super happy that this is the company that ended up buying us. There were some others that might have been nice too, but I think this was by far the best possible outcome. We are, we're able to farm out a lot of things that we've had to pay for in-house before. All of our financial stuff, we don't have to have a bookkeeper, we don't have to have an accountant, we don't have to have a lawyer, we don't have to have, even marketing is partially getting sent out. So now we get to keep all those resources and turn those inside and use it for other things. So I don't see anything negative. Hope that helped. Anything? I don't have any other questions here. Maybe I've answered all your questions, or maybe I have to scroll up. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Hey, we're going to be, I will have a new owners webinar for those of you that are new in a couple weeks. And then we're going to have a webinar on the post office rate change. That rate change is the 24th of January. I hope you have a very safe and healthy new year. And thank heavens 2020 is behind us. Let's hope that the bad things are all behind us too. Take care, everybody. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.